Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone and welcome to your English class. In our lesson today, we'll continue with our fourth unit. Our lesson today is the grammar lesson in your books, page 50 and 51. All you need for the lesson today is your books, page 50 and 51, a sheet of paper and a pen to take down your notes. So let's get started. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to differentiate between the direct and the reported speech, and you will be able to report certain statements. Let's get started with this. What can you tell in here? What do people usually talk about? Are they always telling their own words? I don't think so. We usually report what we have heard, what other people have told us, or what we have seen. So usually we are reporting. I will tell you what my friend have told me, and you will tell your friends what I have already told you. When we are listening to the news, they are reporting events to us. What kind of events will they report to us? They will report us news about politics, sports, health, usually science, and every day about the weather. So I will tell you about what the weather reporter had said. He had read about it or find out about it. From the discussion lesson, Professor Marvin was taking an interview, and we're having the interviewer to ask him, Professor Marvin, does intelligent life exist elsewhere in the universe? This one is actually a question. Then we're having the TV reporter was telling us about what the interviewer had said. He said, the interviewer asked the professor if intelligent life existed elsewhere in the universe. Let's compare the direct and the reported speech. What do we have? We started from does. We have changed it into if. We started with an if. Then would have exist changed into existed. If still remember, the present into past. Does exist into existed or did exist. And this one is a question. You can notice that we have changed the question into a sentence. We have changed it. Also, in the other interview, Mr. Holyfield, can you tell us about the results of the exams? And here, we're having a question. It was reported by the TV reporter, and he said, the interviewer asked Mr. Holyfield, the famous TV presenter, if he could tell us about the results of the exam. Let's compare them. Can you have been changed into if he could. The can have been changed into could, the present into past, and can also we have changed it into if he instead of you. And also a sentence came up from a question. So when you are reporting a question, you will turn it from a question into a sentence. We will change the order and it will be a sentence, because we have already started with he asked, he did. We didn't start with the modal auxiliary. So in your books, page 51, the reported questions, how old are you? In the reported, we will say, he asked how old I was. Notice the are you, we have changed the order. You are, then it became past I was, how old I was. Then, where were you last night? Here, we're going to change the order. He wanted to know where we had been the night before. Where, simple past, should be past perfect, had been. And it is actually a sentence. And notice that if there is no question word, like how, like where, these, you will use F in place. So the place is reserved for a WH question. No WH question, just add F. It is a place for a question word. So Are you a student? Notice no WH question word. He asked if the reserved place. Tom was a student. Did you enjoy the dinner party? She asked if they had enjoyed the dinner party. So the question into a sentence, then we will add F or the WH question word. So to report a question, we will refer to reporting a statement this time. So we will add one more step. The first thing that you will do is the introduction. Notice, is it a question? He asked. Is it a sentence? He told me. He said. So he said or he asked. Notice what you are going to report and you will add the correct introduction. Followed by, what if it were a question? We have to change the order of the question to become a sentence because we have already started with it as being a sentence. He said or he asked. Change it into a sentence form. Subject, verb, object. Don't start with the verb, start with the subject. Then, now I have the verb. It is in the present, past, or sometimes it is a modal verb. So we will go 1 tense backward, present into past, past into past perfect, and the modal auxiliary, the modals will be changed into the past ones. Okay? Here in your books, page 51, here we're reading exercise A. These messages were left on the family's answering machine. Report what the people said. This is the machine. You have reached 789-555-6543. Please leave a message after the beep. What is the message? The message said, Adil, it is Ahmed. So it is Ahmed's words. Are you going to the gym today? He's asking him a question. How can we report that one? I have heard this message. They want to report it to my family. Maybe I will report it to Adil. I will tell Adil that Ahmed asked Adil. Why ask? Because it is a question. Asked Adil. Here, are you? No WH question word. That's why I have added F. If he was going to go, he's going to the gym that day. Instead, are you? You are simple past, past tense. So we were going to say, if he was going to the gym today, it's not today. It happened in the past that day. Maybe yesterday or a week before. Also, we're having Yahya. This is Ali. What is the math assignment for tomorrow? Now I have heard this message and I am telling it to Yahya the following week. So I will tell that Ali asked Yahya. Then notice we have a what? We have a WH. No need for the F. What the math assignment for the next day was. What have we changed? A sentence. Then have been changed into was because it is a sentence from a question into a sentence. Also, another message. Adil, it's Hussein. Is the game still on for tonight? So we will say Hussein asked Adil is, so no WH question word, just add F. If the game was still on for tonight, no, it is that night. Maybe the day have changed. It have been changed, so that night or the following night. Now in your books, page 111, exercise D. Complete the news article about a town meeting. Use the notes taken at the meeting to write reported questions. You're going to listen to the notes, what each one of the people in here in the meeting have said. The direct speech, then we're going to try to complete the report in the indirect speech. So let's listen to their speech.
Does anyone have any questions?
Who made the plans for the park? Why didn't they ask for my ideas?
Did the Parks Department plan an area for bicycles?
Forget the bicycles. Is there a path where people can jog?
Will there be lots of benches?
Where will the football field be? How many tennis courts will there be?
When will the park open?
Do the plans include some basketball courts?
Why don't they include a place for family picnics?
How can we do all these things?
Okay, as you have noticed, we're having someone who's responsible and is receiving all these questions. Now we will report what people had asked that man. At the beginning, April 3, the town meeting to discuss the new park was a lively one. The park commissioner, the one who's receiving the questions, opened the meeting by asking if anyone had any question. Does anyone have any question? It turned out that lots of people did. First, Mr. Kilmer, president of the neighborhood association, asked. Notice the first Mr. Kilmer's word. What did he say? He asked who had made the plans for the park. We started with the WH question word, then had made, has made, into had made. Then he also asked a question, why they hadn't asked for his own ideas. Why the WH question word, then has into had. They hadn't asked for his ideas. Mr. Lopez asked if the park department had planned an area for bicycles. He asked, did you plan any places for bicycles? So, yes, no question. We added the F if the park department had planned an area for bicycles. Mr. Lee wondered, what did he say instead of ask? If there was a path where people can jog. He asked, is there a place where people can jog? So, F instead of the WH question word, sentence, there is, there was a path where people can jog or run. Mr. Green asked if there would be lots of benches. Will there be lots of benches? Will they? There will. Then change the will into would and start with an F. Will into would. Let's continue. Children also contributed to the discussion. A boy wanted to know. He asked the question. Boy number 1. Where the football field would be. He asked, where will the football field be? So, start with the WH question word, where, the subject, football field, will into would be. Another boy wanted to know how many tennis courts there would be. He said, how many tennis courts will there be? So how many? Start with the WH question word. Tennis courts there will into would. Mr. Waters had a question. He asked, notice Mr. Waters, when the park would open. He said, when will the park open? Start with the WH question word, then will into would. Sentence form. Another man asked, we're having another man, he said, if the plans included some basketball courts. Yes, no question. Add the F. Sentence form included. Finally, another man wanted to know, the last man said, why they didn't include a place for family picnics. He said, why don't you add any place for family picnics? Why the WH question word do into didn't include a place for family picnics. The commissioner held up the plan and asked the people at the meeting how they could do all these things. Suddenly, the room became very quiet. So, notice the question, WH question word or F in place, change the order, then change the tense. In your books, page 51, we are changing some words when we are reporting the speech. We have already done that whenever we are reporting the speech, the statement, or the question. So, in reported speech, whether a question or a statement, some words may be different from those in the original sentence. Just like when we are changing the pronoun, I will say I, but you will say she. Maybe I will say today, then you will report my word, you will say that day. So it is not the same day, according to the time gap. I did my homework already. Todd said that, we're having Todd, a boy, that he had done is it your homework? No, it's not yours. It is Todd's. So his homework already. You will change the pronoun based on the speaker. Also, the plane is arriving now. We have changed. Mary said that the plane was, the is into was, arriving now. Is it arriving now when we're speaking? She told me an hour later. Then or at that time. At the time she was speaking, she's not speaking by now. Then or at that time. Note that the following time expression change in reported speech. When you say now, you will change it into at that time, tomorrow, the day after, or the next day. When we're saying today, you will say on or that on that day or that day, yesterday, the day before. Because the speaker's time is different than the reporter's time. Usually it is different. We're having the idea of reporting verbs. We don't usually say he said, he told me, or we say that he asked. You can use many verbs, many action verbs. A variety of verbs, many verbs with different shades, different meanings can be used in place of say. You can't repeat yourself all the time saying say, said, and said. So yes, it's a good idea. My friend agreed. It was a good idea. You're telling me that he said yes. Saying yes is agreement. So my friend agreed that it was a good idea. Also, of course, I did my homework. He said it. However, Tom assured the teacher that he had done his homework. It is the word that he said, but the purpose is to assure, to give you an assurance. I am certain that I have done my homework. An indirect object is always used after tell. So instead of saying say, you can use tell. However, he told me, he told his father. So we can say, he told me that he had studied English in the States. This is the object pronoun. We use it usually after told, after tell, or let's say told this time. Now in your books, page 110, exercise C. Change the sentences to reported speech. Use the reporting verbs in the box. They are agree, tell, say, assure, notice, and explain. Be sure to change all necessary words. Sometimes more than one answer is possible. Here is a conversation between a mom and her son. We're going to report and make sure that we will use, instead of say and ask, we will use one of these reporting verbs. Jason's mom, you will do all of the homework for Mr. Wilson's class. What is she saying? Jason's mom told him, notice for the object pronoun, she told him that he would do all the homework for Mr. Wilson's class. Tell, we have used it. Then you have been changed into he, will into would. He will reply and he will say, you will, Jason said, you will do all the homework. Jason said that Mr. Wilson could give less homework. Then the mom said, you won't play football. We have here you, we will change it, as well as won't, will not. So we will say in here, Jason's mom explained that he wouldn't play football. Instead of saying, we can say explained that he will. Instead of you, we have used he, will into would, won't into wouldn't. Then Jason said, I will find the time to finish all my homework. What did he say? Jason assured his mom that he would finish all the homework. Instead of saying, he assured, I will make sure to do it. His mom, that, I will be he, will be would. He would finish all the homework. Then Jason's mom said, Mr. Johnson just may be right from time to time. Jason's mom agreed that Mr. Wilson just might be right from time to time. So she agreed with the teacher. May have been changed into might. So you can choose any one of these verbs based on the meaning. Say, tell, agree, assure, all of them would work. In your books, page 112, read part exercise E. Read part of Umar's interview at the WWT and report it. Use reported speech. So we're having here an interview with Umar. We will listen to it. You can read it. Then we'll try to report what he had said. Let's listen to the conversation.
Good morning. This is Ken Clark at WWT, and with us is young Omar, our swimming champion. Omar, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Omar, how old were you when you started swimming?
Ever since I can remember. My family lived near the sea and we swam all the time.
Yes. I remember you mentioning that at the Sports News interview. What would you say your main advantage is in freestyle?
I think speed and pace.
Well, that's everything really. Would you like to watch a video with some comments from people who know you?
I'm not sure. Are they good comments?
Yes, I think they are. A couple of your friends think you are sometimes too quick to jump to conclusions and misinterpret things, but they also mentioned that you never hold grudges against people. And here is your friend Alan.
Omar is really cool. He's a good friend and he always helps people, but sometimes I think he tries too hard. I mean, everyone knows he's a good athlete and a good student. He doesn't need prove anything. He has to learn to relax and enjoy his success. That's what I think.
Okay, so that was the interview with Umar, the swimming champion at the WWT. Let's take them, the speeches one by one, and try to report them. In your books, page 112. Ken Clark of the WWT introduced his guest. Let's report what he said. The young swimming champion Umar. His name is Umar and he is a young swimming champion. And welcomed him to their show. He said, welcome Umar to the show. He started by asking Umar, notice the first question that he asked Umar. What did he say? How old he was when he started swimming. How old were you when you started swimming? How old? We started with the how old, which is the question, change it into a sentence. Then he was when he started swimming. Umar answered, what did he say? That he had been swimming ever since he could remember. I have been swimming ever since I can remember. We have used, instead of have, we use had, and instead of can, we have used could. Then Ken Clark said he remembered him mentioning that at the Sport News interview. I remember that you said that. He said, remember and to remembered. At another interview. And he asked him what his main advantage was in freestyle. What is your main advantage? So he said, what? Start with the WH question. Your main advantage, his main advantage is into was in freestyle. When Umar told him that he thought it was speed and pace, he said, I think it is speed and pace. Instead of I, we have he thought it it was instead of is. Speed and pace. Clark agreed with him and asked him if, what was the question? He would like to watch a video with some comments from people who knew him. Do you want to watch some comments from people that you know? Yes, no question. So we started with F, well, into would, to watch a video with some comments from people who knew him. No, into knew. Then what did he say? Umar asked whether the comments were good ones. Whether instead of F, the comments are became were good ones. Clark answered that he thought they were. I think they are. Think into thought, then are into were. And he added that some of his friends, what did they say? Thought, think, that he was sometimes too quick to jump to conclusions, but never held grudges against people. Here he is into he was, jump into conclusions, but never held grudges against people. Alan said, notice the last speech by Alan, that Umar was really cool. Umar is really cool into was, a good friend, and always helped people. Helped from helps. But he sometimes, we have tried too hard. Tries into tried. He thought that he didn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need into he didn't need to prove anything. So for these, we notice whether it is a sentence, just change the tense. If it is a question, change the order, then change the tense. Okay, for your homework, choose a news article, any news article, then try to report it. Just watch the news, read a newspaper or a magazine, find a news article, then come up with a reported, whether it's a question, statement, or whatever it is. Okay, I guess that is it for the lesson today, and thank you so much for your time.